Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 11th of October 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Friday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, but specifically our JFD Research tab here, which you can click on, and it will take you to our research page, which we update on a daily basis. So yep, feel free guys to visit us here and have a read through, and I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here. But for now, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the DAX. So yesterday, the whole risk sentiment kind of improved, so we've managed to get back into risk on. Well, looking at the index here, the DAX index, we've managed to travel above this one of its levels here that I was watching, and I was talking about this level in this week. Basically, this 12,142 territory. I mean, we had a nice pop above this. We had a nice close above this. And looking at the cash index right now, it seems that it's willing to travel further north, and this is what I was talking about. So previously, if we see a nice good break and a close above the 12,142, then yep, there is a good chance for this one to move further north, and we will be aiming for the area around the 12,312 zone. So approximately around there. So 312, 315. This area previously acted as a good area of support. This time it could take the role of resistance. So that's why we're going to keep an eye on it. Of course, slightly below that, if somebody has drawn here the 12,270 zone, yes, it could be, but we're very close in the cash index here right now, so that's why, guys, be very careful around here, around the 12,312, 15 zone. So, but if that gets broken, then yep, it could be opening the path towards this key area of resistance near the 12,495 zone. So we've looked at this one previously, and you can see how well this played out. So we could be aiming for that, but for this one, we would need to see a clear move above the 12,312. For now, the cash index is below it. We'll keep an eye on it. So in a way, we could see the index moving higher a little bit here today, but we'll take it from here. We'll see what it wants to do near this level, and then we'll, if it breaks, then yep, we will consider higher levels. But I doubt that we could reach a move here towards this area, towards the 12,500 zone, unless something really positive comes out of the U.S. China trade talks. So, but again, for now we're keeping a bit of skepticism in there. So that's why for now we're going to keep it short and simple. And the first level to watch could be around the 12,312 zone. If this suddenly drops back below the 12,142, then yep, this arrow needs to be redrawn a little bit here. So we'll wait for a push below the 12,080 territory around here, basically, because this way the index would also drop below the 200 EMA and also below its 21 EMA here. If you probably barely can see it, but it's a yellow line and it's somewhere around here, basically. So this level here would just kind of confirm further declines, and we could initially target the low of the low of last week near the 11,880 zone. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But again, like I said before, we could consider lower areas. We need to see a drop below the 12,080 territory. So keep your eyes on that one. Quick update on WTI oil. So I've talked about this one yesterday, and basically it's finally managed to pop above this level right here and managed to stay above the 53.33 zone. I talked about this one, and in a way now this increases the chances for a further move higher. The only problem here for now is going to be this 54.74, 75 zone, or slightly above it, the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. This is where the price could stall initially, and in a way we could see maybe then something like this happening. And if it does happen something like this, then as long as it as long as it continues to trade above this 53.33 zone, then yep, we could aim for the upside again. So we could in a way see the commodity bypassing this 200 EMA and potentially targeting the 56.85 zone. So I've talked about this level previously. That's going to be our main target. But for now, the idea here is basically we could see a bit of a rise, a bit more upside here, maybe a test of this 54.75, which actually is perfectly matching the R1, today's R1. And if it holds, we could see a bit of a correction here, and then another push higher after that if it continues to trade above this 53.33. If it starts falling back below it, then, well, I mean, this could be back into this little range. Of course, it no longer would be a range, but this could be our little neutral territory for a while. For us to get comfortable with the downside, ideally we would like to see a drop below this little level right here at 52 zone, and only then we'll aim for slightly lower levels. So for now, it seems that the downside could be slightly off the table, but let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. Let's keep an eye on some of these key support and resistance levels, and let's see how this is going to play out. Gold, I wanted to talk about this one because I've looked at this one this whole week. I was talking about gold, and basically this is what I was talking about. So you see the gold managed on. So basically, okay, I'll start from the beginning. On Monday, it managed to travel higher. It managed to almost reach the upper side of the falling channel formation, and this is what I was talking about. So if this upper side continues to hold, we could see another round of selling, and this is what we've got yesterday. So the commodity dropped lower, and when I was talking about this one yesterday as well, I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on the psychological 1500 level, because that could be the barrier for lower areas. If we get a break below that barrier, then yep, it could be opening the path towards some of these areas like the 1487 or even below that. We did get our break. We did get our close below this, the 1499 zone, or the psychological 1500, and it also dropped below all of its EMAs. So this is kind of creating a nice kind of bearish atmosphere for the sellers, and the only thing is that we're still going to be very careful with this, just because we do have those talks going on still. So in a way, any positive headline or something like that, then yes, we could see further declines here. But if something comes out negative, or something doesn't work out as planned, then we could see gold spiking again. So, but then again, we will consider the upside only on a break of the upper side of the falling channel and the a push above the 1520. That this is the level for us to get comfortable with further upside. But again, like I said, with gold, the way you could play this one out is if we see a further push a little bit higher here, if it struggles to get back above the 1500 zone, then we could see another round of selling, which could initially lead towards the 1487 zone. But if that fails to withhold, then yep, further declines are possible. But we will get to those if we see such a move. Jumping into a few pairs now very quickly. USDSEK, so the US dollar against the Swedish krone. I've talked about this one yesterday, just a quick update basically. So this is what I was saying yesterday. If we see a possible correction here, we did get our correction, not all the way here towards this level, but it stalled around here, somewhere around the 9.8570 zone, somewhere here, and now drifted back down. So in a way, it dropped already below its yesterday's lows, or actually, let me just, yep, it dropped below. Oh, there we go. Is that correct? That's correct. So no, it found support. There we go. So that's a bit of a different picture, but it found support again near its yesterday's lows. So it's very close to breaking it. Of course, we cannot say that it's going to move lower until actually it breaks that level. So this is what we're keeping close eye on. So for now, guys, this is a very interesting pair, and it might provide some opportunities. But don't forget that overall, and I need to jump into a weekly chart here, guys. Overall, we are quite overbought here, even on the weekly chart. So in a way, a bit of correction could be possible. Look at the steep uprise from January 2018. So it was a nice move higher here. So and now the pair is finding strong resistance here near these levels, and these are, by the way, the 2002 levels here. And let me just scroll back here a little bit just to show you what I'm talking about. So these are the levels here that we saw back in May 2002. So this is where we are at right now on this pair. So that's why for now, guys, everything's kind of leaning more towards the downside. And for us, like I said, but for us to get comfortable with lower levels, we need to see wait for a drop below this area right here near the 9.8166 territory. So keep your eyes on this one, and this way we could then target the area around the 200 EMA, which is currently at around 9.7620, something like that, approximately there. So keep your eyes on this one. AUDJPY. So finally we managed to get a pop. Yesterday in my trader's tea time, I was talking about this one, and basically we're still hanging around here. We were hanging around just around this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 13th of September. But what I was saying that yes, we could see there is a good chance for this one to move higher, but ideally we would need to see a pop above the 200 EMA here, and this is what we've got. We've got that pop, we've got that close above it, and our target was around here, the 73.17 zone. Well, 1720 approximately around there. And we managed to get a hit of that, slightly overshot it, but as you can see now the pair is trying to retrace a little bit, maybe correct a little bit lower. If it makes another push higher above this area, then the next level to watch would be around the 73.50 zone. So that acted as a fantastic area of resistance back here on the 19th of September. So that's why, again, we'll keep it short and simple for now. If this area holds where it is currently at right now, this resistance zone, then we could see something like this, maybe a move back towards the 200 EMA, and if it provides good support, then we could see something like this basically happening later on. So for us to consider the downside, well, at this point in time, we would need to see, and we would need to wait for a drop back below the this downside resistance line, and maybe a drop below the 72.20 here, just for that extra confirmation, and only then we will aim for lower levels. For now, it's looking more positive than negative, but don't forget that we had a good run recently, and we could see a bit of correction here if it, let's say, struggles to push further above the 73.20 zone. If it struggles to do that, we could see this little curve and a push back to the upside. So keep your eyes on this one. USDJPY. Also, I talked about this pair yesterday, and basically for us now here, we managed to break above this key area of resistance at 107.62. We've managed to reach our other target near the 107.90. That's wonderful. So everything's really looking positive. So, and this is what I was talking about yesterday, basically, because even if we see, yeah, we could see a push above this. We got this one. Now it's traveling higher. It seems that yes, it's invincible. It could continue pushing further north. The only problem comes here near this level here, near the 108.48. 850 area, approximately around there, because if it struggles to overcome this and then slides back down here, this is what we could be getting ourselves. We could be getting ourselves a nice wide range. So basically, we could be having a nice wide range here for quite a while. But in order for us, let's say, to examine, let's say, higher levels in the medium term at least, well, a push above this level is required. I mean, that's logical. So we need to see a nice higher high here. But if it struggles to move above this, then we could see, like I said, a move back down again, and this pair ending up moving sideways. So So that's why, guys, for now, yes, we are going to be more positive than negative. We could see a bit of correction here. Don't get me wrong. We could see something like this happening, where the pair would slide back down, maybe test the 107.62 zone, 60 area here. Basically, maybe slightly below that, because we do have the. Let me just quickly draw this one here. We do have this little tentative upside support line, which in a way could also provide a bit of support. So in a way, also actually looking at this chart right now, we could even see maybe a correction, a deeper correction here, something like this. But to be honest, if it corrects now, then in a way, I mean, it could be actually moving towards this barrier here, towards the 107.33, because that's going to be our level here to watch in order to consider, let's say, slightly lower areas. And by slightly lower areas, I mean the lower side of this potential range here, guys. But for now, basically, keep your eyes on this one. To be honest, this could in a way travel higher here, test today's R1, which is around the 108.24 zone, and then correct back down. So let me just quickly put this one on the chart, this idea. So something like this could be possible, basically, guys. So for now, yes, it's looking quite positive. It's stuck here in between the pivot and the R1, this kind of sweet spot here, but more towards the upside. So again, we could see this one pushing a little bit higher here, testing the R1, which is around the 108.24, and then reverse and correct a little bit lower, and then make another push towards the upper side of the range here, this possible range. But all this could in a way happen today. We do have a bit of news coming out, so yep, keep your eyes on this one. USDCAD, something to keep an eye on. Today we do have the Canadian employment figures, and let me just double check for now very quickly those figures. So yes, so of course, the employment figures are expected to be the employment change figure expected to have declined quite, let's say, a bit from the previous number, but the unemployment rate could in a way stay the same. But again, for now, let's not try to predict any of those. Let's see how this is going to play out. For now, looking at the USDCAD, you can see that we had a drop yesterday. We had a drop below this 1.3284 zone, but the pair quickly managed to get back above it. So again, today, this morning, we are seeing this kind of move lower, but let's not forget that we could see again something like a false breakout here, a test of the 200 EMA, and then a reversal back to the upside. So it's a very tricky pair, and I'm trying to kind of get it, but it seems that lately it's just kind of violating all the technical rules and just moving the way it wants to do. It's the way it wants, actually, basically. So for now, we're going to be very careful and cautious here. If you do trade this, then have your tight stop loss in place, guys, because this one is in a way, for now, it has a mind of its own. So this choppiness that we're seeing here, it's not really helping the trading here. So in a way, as I said, we could see a bit of a drop here, maybe towards the 200 EMA. But if that fails to withhold, maybe this is where the path could be open towards lower areas, and we're still targeting this 1.32 zone, especially if it drops below the this 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. If it rebounds back up here and, let's say, it pushes above today's pivot, which is around the 1.33 territory, approximately around there, guys, then yep, we could see a possible move towards this key barrier here near the 1.3348 zone, and then it could become a little bit more interesting for the buyers, because it will be interesting to see if this gets broken or not. But again, how you could play this one out today is keep an eye on today's pivot, which is around the 1.33 zone. A nice good pop above this could in a way open the path towards higher levels, because this way the rate would also be placed above, could be placed above its 21 EMA here. And like I said, more buyers could see this as a positive, and we could see maybe a possible move towards the 1.3348 zone here. But if this slides below the 200 EMA today, then this is not looking good for USDCAD. GBPUSD, very quick update on this one. So we managed to blow up here. This is what I was talking about yesterday. We were keeping a close eye on some of these on these two highlighted areas. So we did get our break above this 1.2275 zone. That's perfect. Initially, I was targeting only the 1.2411 territory, but as you can see, this 1.2411 acted as a good area for a retracement support here. So it traveled above it, and then it decided to retrace back down here, and this is where it got held near this 1.2411. So perfect. Of course, now looking at this picture, we could see a bit of a move higher here. The only problem here with the upside is this downside resistance line. Let me show you where that is taken from. It's a bit of a tentative one. I do understand that, but we're going to keep an eye on it. Still, that's from the high of 3rd of May. So basically, this medium-term downside resistance line here could, in a way, keep the rate lower. If it struggles to keep the rate lower, we do have the 1.25 zone, which also could add a bit of resistance here for this pair. Now, if we get a push above the 1.25, now this is where it could become a little bit more interesting, because then it could open the path towards the 1.2582 zone here, which is the high of the 20th of September. But if that gets cleared, now welcome to the upside here, guys, because we could see further moves higher here. This would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and probably more buyers could be joining in here, and potentially we could see this one drifting towards the 1.27 or even the 1.28. But again, there's a lot of obstacles to overcome. First, again, we are still a little bit skeptical about the whole kind of positiveness that came out yesterday. So, as we know, anything with kind of has to deal with Brexit. One day it comes out with the good news, the next day there's some sort of disappointment, and we see a slide in the pound again. So again, for now, guys, how you could play this one out is probably wait, in terms of the upside, wait for a pop above the 1.25, because it's too risky, because you can try to kind of aim for this downside resistance line, but to be honest, at the same point, given the fact that it's kind of already had a wonderful push here to the upside, there could be a bit of correction here. Don't get me wrong, it might come after it hits the downside line here, and then we could see a slide. So that's why we're going to be probably a little bit cautious here. In order to consider slightly lower levels, we would like to see a drop back below the 1.2411, but even then, don't get me wrong, even then we could see something like this basically happening. So that's why for now, yes, we could see a drop below the 1.2411. In a way, it could travel all the way here back towards the 1.2335 zone, maybe test all of its EMAs here, and then rebound from them, and then push back to the upside. So in a way, keep your eyes on this one. This is a short-term downside idea for us to, let's say, get comfortable a little bit more with lower levels, further lower levels. A drop probably back below the 1.2275 could do the trick for more sellers here. So keep your eyes on this one. And of course, for today, keep your eyes on the 1.2411 zone. That's if the reversal comes earlier and we start seeing a slide here. If it drops below this, then this could open the path a little bit lower here towards the pivot initially, towards around the 1.2370. But if that fails, then yep, the 1.2335 could do a trick, because it would be around all of its EMAs here on the 4-hour chart. Of course, if it gets held here near this downside line and this 1.25 zone, then we could see a bit of a correction here straight away to the downside. But if that gets broken, if the 1.25 gets broken, then wonderful. That's good news for the buyers. And the last pair, very quickly on the session, Euro USD. This is what I talked about yesterday in my Traders Tea Time, and we did get our daily close below the 1.1024, but above this downside resistance line. So what it means that there is, yes, it's still, the euro is still not the strongest one, but it's still showing good results. Now, that said, ideally, of course, we wanted to see a push above the, a close above the 1.1024 on a daily chart, but we didn't get that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to shift this level here a little bit, because it's becoming a little bit risky. And I do understand it used to be quite a good level now, but we're actually have to kind of push this one right now here. And this is the high of yesterday near the 1.1034 zone. in a way, in order for us to get comfortable with higher levels, we need to see a push above this, because this way the pair would confirm a forthcoming higher high and we could target higher levels. We could, in a way, aim for the 1.1110 zone, which acted as a fantastic area of resistance back on the 13th of September. In order for us to get excited about the downside, we need to see a push back below the downside line and maybe a drop below the 1.0990 zone, approximately around there. Of course, we're keeping an eye on the psychological 1.10 zone, but also just for that extra confirmation, a drop below the 1.0990 could in a way do the trick here for the sellers. This is the level to kind of not to miss out on any of the kind of good moves here, so that's why I'm keeping an eye on this 1.0990. If we see a drop below this, then, or actually, I do apologize, guys. Let me zoom in a little bit. This is what I probably had to do earlier. Yes, no, I do apologize again. I'm getting confused here myself. So, keep an eye on the 1.0990, because, and this is what I was trying to kind of was questioning myself again, because we have a nice upside support line here, a tentative one, but nevertheless, this is the kind of that extra confirmation for the downside. So, yes, I will reiterate that a little bit here. Basically, we would like to see a drop below this upside line before we would aim for lower levels, because all this territory would still be somewhat of a neutral one for us, and in a way this level could be shifted here just for that to be extra cautious, and that's around the 1.0966 zone. I do understand we're missing out a bit of a move here. This is why you could keep an eye on this 1.10 zone for today. If we see a drop below this, then we could see a slide towards this little short-term tentative upside line, and this is where you should remain a little bit cautious here and wait for further action here, because if it gets a break, then yep, we could see further decline. If it struggles, then we could kind of end up moving here a little bit. So but yep, that's in terms of the downside guide. But in terms of the upside, that's the level we're keeping an eye on. The yesterday's high at around 1.1035, 34 zone, and then we'll aim for higher levels only then, only on a break of that. Okay, guys, I really hope you found it useful. I a little bit ran over my time, so thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me later on at my Trader's Tea Time, as always, that's 13:15 GMT. We'll have a look at some of these instruments again, and we'll see how they've performed. But until then, guys, I hope you have a very careful trading session today. Today's Friday, so try to keep it short and simple. And yep, guys, stay safe. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.